Hi, my name's Hannah Nunn. I'm a nutritional therapist specialising in age-related macular degeneration. I'm based in the UK, but I work with clients worldwide, helping them take control of their AMD by supporting their overall health. In this video, we will discuss the role that vitamin D plays in AMD and how it may help protect against this disease. We're also going to look at the sources of vitamin D and how you can make sure you're getting enough of this important nutrient. So vitamin D is a fat-soluble vitamin. That means it's dissolved in fat and it can be stored in the body's fat tissue and liver. Where do we get it from? Well, vitamin D is produced in the skin when our skin is exposed to UVB rays from the sun. We can also get it from the diet, for example, from fatty fish, oily fish, mackerel, salmon, egg yolks, and we're going to talk a bit more about food sources later on. Vitamin D is best known for its role in the development and maintenance of strong bones and teeth. But it has many other vital functions in the body. So let's look at why vitamin D may be relevant to you with AMD. Now, low levels of vitamin D have been associated with high blood pressure, heart disease, cancer, diabetes, and an increased risk of AMD. Now, I can hear you all saying, correlation doesn't equal causation, and it is quite likely that a healthy level of vitamin D goes hand in hand with a healthy diet and lifestyle. But let's have a closer look at the benefits and functions of vitamin D in the body, and we will see without a doubt that it's really important to have optimal levels of this nutrient. Now, vitamin D exerts its effect by binding to something called the vitamin D receptor. And through this, it has an effect on hundreds of genes involved in many functions. Interestingly, the vitamin D receptor and the enzymes required to convert vitamin D to its active form are found in the retina. An important function of vitamin D is in immune regulation. So it helps prevent overactivation of the immune system, which we do see in AMD. This is also obviously really important in autoimmune diseases where you have this overactivation of the immune system. It inhibits production of inflammatory cytokines. Cytokines are proteins that cause inflammation as part of our immune response. And it can promote production of anti-inflammatory cytokines, so decreasing inflammation. It has antioxidant effects and can help in repair of damaged cells. It stimulates production of enzymes that are involved in detoxification of harmful substances. So this further reduces oxidative stress and inflammation in the body. It also may decrease the risk of wet AMD by inhibiting angiogenesis. Angiogenesis is the production of new blood vessels, and it's these new, weaker, leaky blood vessels that cause the problem in wet AMD. Now, we often talk about how important vitamin A is for the health of your eyes. And interestingly, vitamin D is required for the proper absorption and utilisation of vitamin A in the body. So we can see that adequate vitamin D levels are really important for optimal health, and also that it may protect against oxidative stress, inflammation, and other processes that are contributing to AMD. So a really important nutrient, and yet so many of us are deficient in it, and there are many factors contributing, making you maybe more prone to being deficient in vitamin D. These include having a darker skin tone, being overweight, age. So by the age of 70, our ability to make vitamin D has reduced by 75%. Not absorbing fats very well from our diet. That means we won't absorb as much vitamin D from our food. So also where we live in the world and what time of the year is relevant to how much vitamin D we're getting, because that will affect the intensity of the sun's rays and how much sun we're getting on our skin. And that's where sun safety measures come in as well. So sunscreens, wearing protective clothing, wearing a hat, limiting how much time we spend in the sun. Of course, this is all going to reduce the amount of sun exposure we get and how much vitamin D we're making. And this is really relevant to people with AMD because quite often they are very careful about sun exposure in order to protect their eyes from the effects of the sun. So let's talk about ways to support healthy vitamin D levels. So the primary source of vitamin D is the sun. So spending time outside in the sunshine will help us produce vitamin D. Obviously do this safely, about 15 to 20 minutes of exposing our skin to the sun without covering or protection. Fair skin needs less time, dark skin needs more time, and you can still protect your eyes. So eating a nutrient-dense ancestral diet, so eliminating those processed foods and replacing with whole foods, so you're getting all the vitamins that you need, but in reference to vitamin D, especially focusing on oily fish, eggs, grass-fed meats, organic liver, cod liver oil, that's another good source. And those foods are also rich in vitamin A. And as mentioned before, these two vitamins work together in synergy. And vitamin A obviously being really essential for eye function too. Mushrooms are a good plant source of vitamin D. It's vitamin D2 that they contain, which is less potent than the vitamin D3 that we find in animal foods. But mushrooms become a better source once they've been exposed to UVB radiation, interestingly. So there are some foods that are artificially fortified with vitamin D, but just be aware that some of these foods may not be the healthiest foods for us. So just be careful when selecting foods for that reason. Magnesium is required to convert vitamin D to its active form. So including good sources of magnesium in the diet is also really important to support healthy vitamin D levels. So this is your leafy green vegetables, another good reason to include your leafy green vegetables, avocado, nuts and seeds, legumes such as beans, chickpeas, lentils, and your whole grains such as quinoa, whole grain rice, for example. So my next piece of advice would be to get your vitamin D levels checked, and that way you know for sure that your levels are optimal. This is something that I do with my clients, either through their doctor or I get them to do a simple home test, a finger prick test. This will help determine whether you do need to make any changes to your diet and lifestyle or possibly supplement. If you are not able to get adequate levels of vitamin D through your diet and sun exposure, then you may want to consider taking a vitamin D supplement. Now, the optimal dosage will depend on the results of your test, and it is advisable to retest after a few months of supplementing to make sure that your dosage and your vitamin D levels are optimal. So it is possible via supplementation to get too much vitamin D. As I mentioned before, it's a fat-soluble vitamin and we can store it in the body. So if you were taking a high dose for a long period of time, it can build up and then it does cause problems. So always advisable to get professional advice before starting any new supplement to make sure that you're taking the correct amount. So vitamin D, an essential nutrient for overall health, and overall health essential for maintaining healthy eyes and vision. Thank you for listening. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please like my video, leave a comment below, subscribe if you want to hear more. Details of how to get in touch with me are in the description, and also please come and join us in the Facebook group Nutrition for AMD. Bye bye.